Shariresha Sharirina Taistai Jaturatesaya Shariresha Sangatai Yasya Vatarana Yanti Shariresha Sharirina Tatai Jaturatesaya Yasya whose avatara incarnations Jayante can be known Sharirishu among the living entities Asharirina of the Lord who has no material body Tai all those Atulia incomparable Atishay extraordinary Didiai by prowess the issue among the living entities Asangatai impossible. Translation: the Lord does not have a material body, yet he descends among human beings in his transcendental body as an incarnation. Therefore, it is very difficult for us to understand who is an incarnation. Only by his extraordinary prowess and uncommon activities, which are impossible for embodied living entities, can one partially understand the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very short purport, just one line. This is quotation from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.10.34. So I will read the next one. Sure? Yeah, no problem. Did you find it? It's working hard on it. Ten 34. Yeah. Do you want to read it out? It's not the same, but it's kind of similar. Is it very long? Yeah, you can if you want. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay, and then we leave it. We leave it. We leave it because I think. Okay. So I will read the next one. I will just read the translation. By two symptoms, personal characteristic and marginal characteristic, the great sages can understand an object. Bodily features, nature, and form are the personal characteristics. Knowledge of his activities provide the marginal characteristics. The next one, and then we'll finish there. Okay, and one more, actually. In the auspicious invocation at the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva has described the Supreme Personality of Godhead by these symptoms. And text 359. So tomorrow will be 360. Next week will be 360. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestation, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as no one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in as one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in the fire or land seen on water. Only because him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is the eternal existence in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Per Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This verse, quote from the Srimad Bhagavatam 111, links to the Srimad Bhagavatam which the Vedanta Sutra with the words Jammadi Asya Yata. It is stated that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, is the absolute truth beyond the material creation. This can be accepted by all acharyas. Even Shankaracharya, the most elevated impersonalist, said in the beginning of the commentary of the Bhagavad Gita, Narayano Paro Vyakta. When this material creation is not yet manifested from the Mahatattva, it is called Abhyakta, and when it is demonstrated from the total energy, it is called Vyakta. Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the Vyakta, Abhyakta manifested and unmanifested material nature. This is the chief qualification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he assumes a particular incarnation. Krishna tells Arjuna that although they both took many births, many times before, Krishna remembers everything about his previous appearance, but Arjuna does not remember. Since Krishna is beyond the cosmic creation, he is the exalted his in exalted position of being able to remember everything in the past. Everything within the cosmic creation has a material body, but Krishna, being beyond the material cosmic creation, always has a spiritual body. He imparted Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahma. Although Brahma is the most important and exalted personality within the universe, he could not remember what he did in his past life. Krishna had to remind him through the heart. When Lord Brahma was thus inspired, he was able to create the entire universe. Remembering everything about the past and inspiring Lord Brahma to create are vivid examples of the characteristics called Swarupa Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana. Yasya Bhatara Jayante Shariresha Sharirina Taistair Atulyati Shayair Vidyair Tehishu Sangatai. Translation again, the Lord does not have material body, yet he descends among human beings in his transcendental body as an incarnation. Therefore, it is very difficult for us to understand who is an incarnation. Only by his extraordinary prowess and uncommon activities, which are impossible to embody, which are impossible for embodied living entities, can one partially understand the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Gyanatimrandasya Gyananganashalakaya Shakshurumilitangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. It is very clear that it's very difficult for the living entity to understand who is an incarnation and who is not, especially nowadays. Prabhupada explained in the Krishna book that formerly it was illegal to claim that you are an incarnation, unless you were an incarnation. But nowadays, anyone can claim to be an incarnation. Actually, it is quite funny that you cannot claim to be another person because it is illegal. You cannot say I'm the prime minister or I'm the king because it is illegal. You can be persecuted for this. But you can claim to be God, and that's not illegal. And then you can create your own religion and you will be tax-free. It's unbelievable. This is Kali Yuga. So we saw that at that time when Krishna was present, practically nobody said I'm God. Nobody was competing with Krishna, except who was competing with Krishna? Who was claiming to be Krishna when Krishna was present? Yeah, only Pandraka, who was a full number one, claiming to be Vasudev. And we see even the biggest demons, Kamsa, Ravana, even Putana, who was a very powerful Mataji. She never claimed to be God, even though she was 12 kilometers tall and she could change form. She had all kind of mystic powers, and all these demons, they have so many powers, but none of them claimed to be God when Krishna was present. Only the foolish Paundraka. But situation nowadays is everyone. Prabhupada even said when they asked him about Sai Baba, and Prabhupada said, actually there is a Baba in every corner of India. There are so many yogis, so many personalities. Some of them, they have some power that they pretend, because when you cannot be real, you need to imitate. Because they know they cannot be Krishna, they can only imitate. Like we see Paundraka was imitating Krishna. He put four arms. Nowadays we could say that it's made of plastic, but in those days there was no plastic, so I have no idea what they were made of. And he was carrying the weapons like Vishnu, until all this came to an end when Krishna killed him, isn't it? Krishna killed him in the end. He cut his head off, and then God died. So, but even if you go to India, you see so many people who claim to be God, and they have, what is amazing is that they have a lot of followers, blind followers. I remember one time I went to this, I don't know if Pradyumna Prabhu have been to this Prem Mandir in Vrindavan. No. Yeah. There is a very beautiful temple. Have you been to India, Lucy? Have you been to Prem Mandir? There's a white temple next to Krishna Valaram, very close to Krishna Valaram. Yeah. Yes, this is probably the most beautiful temple in Vrindavan. Probably the most beautiful. Is the biggest. And the architecture and everything is so amazing. When you go inside the temple, when you go in the area of the temple on the right side, there is a like diorama of Krishna lifting Governor Hill, and it's so beautiful. And they put, you know how they do in India with lights and everything. And everything is amazing externally, but when you go inside, I went one time, never again. And what I saw inside was so terrible that I said, I never come back to this place again. You see in the temple, they have these huge paintings of Lord Caitanya, and the famous one, all these Lord Caitanya dancing with the Harinam party, and all these famous photographs, paintings of Lord Chaitanya. But what they had done is they cut the head of Lord Chaitanya, and they put the head of this guy who was the one who created this group, this religion there. And he's like those days, he already kicked the bucket many years ago, but in those days he was like 80 or 90 years old. So very old, ugly man was replacing the head of Lord Chaitanya. Can you believe how offensive? How offensive. I couldn't believe. I started to feel sick on my stomach when I saw these paintings. I really started to feel sick. I said, how can anyone do that? It's so terrible. And it's funny because Lord Chaitanya had a young body, isn't it? You see, a very young body with the head of an old man. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And there are so many things like this. And yeah, all these paintings, they were there, and they were huge, huge paintings. And so terrible. And he got thousands and if not millions of followers around the world. I remember after that I went to Kathmandu. I went to visit a friend who was like an ISKCON follower. I was staying in his house for a few days. And I went to the room I was staying, and they had a huge picture of this guy. I was like, no. He's following me, you know. It's terrible. And probably those were, I've seen also, I remember that, this famous guitar player, Jimi Hendrix, probably the most famous. He got an album in which he's showing the universal form. Have you seen it? The universal form is there, and they replace the face of Krishna of the Jimi Hendrix. And I also remember many years ago there was I think devotees, they took them to court. There is this rock group is called Aerosmiths, and they have an album. It's called 9 Lives, and you see the picture of Krishna dancing on Kaliya, but they have replaced the head of Krishna of that of a cat. So instead of Krishna, they put a cat face. Crazy, crazy. Very offensive. I think the devotees, because there is a copyright, and it's obviously ISKCON painting. So the devotees, I think they took them to court. But out of curiosity, yesterday I went to Google, to Amazon, and see if they still sell this album and they are still selling it. So it means that maybe the devotees didn't succeed in their court case. So there are so many people who try to imitate Krishna, but how we can recognize, Krishna is saying how we can recognize who is an incarnation and who is not. And they said, it is said that the only way to know, well, there are a few things we can know for sure that if the person is an incarnation or not. But they say by extraordinary prowess and unusual activities. Like all these people who claim to be God, even nowadays, they are just imitating, and they may have some magic or even mystical power, but nothing compared to Krishna. Nothing compared to Krishna. I remember this famous class that probably some of you have seen of Tamal Krishna Goswami. I think it's in South Africa. And this person, this follower of Sai Baba, he said, there is an incarnation nowadays that he's doing this. He got many power, a lot of power, and he got a lot of followers. I would like to know what's your opinion. And Maharaj smashed him in such a way that I've seen this video so many times. Have you seen it? No? It's worth to see it. It's amazing. It's so funny. And he said, okay, what your God can do? He said, well, he can create pictures, holy pictures. He can create deities. Just out of his hand, he can manifest ashes. And he said, okay, do you know what is the value of that power? The value of that picture, how much is it? 10 rupees, 100 rupees. Oh, what is the value of the power? The value of that deity he created. How much is a small deity? How much it could cost? And what is the value of ashes? The value of ashes is ashes. There is no other value. You cannot go to the shop and buy ashes. But there are so many videos also in YouTube. You can see that there is a famous one. He manifests from his mouth a golden Shiva lingam. And you see that this is fake. First you see in a slow motion, he put the Shiva lingam in his mouth, and then he take it out. Nowadays, technology, you cannot fake things so easily. And then he smashed that point, and he said, okay, what else? Does he have markings in his hands? Because Krishna got all these auspicious marks in his hand. He said, yeah, he got some markings in his hands. He said, well, everyone got markings in their hands. I'm not talking about lines in the hands, but he has this lotus flowers, and he got all these markings. He said, no, no. So why do you accept him as God? And if he is God, why he doesn't create his own scripture? Why he need to refer to Bhagavad Gita, which are the words of the real God, to create or to bewilder his followers? Because he always quote Bhagavad Gita, and he went further to say that actually the Hare Krishnas are my best devotees. He went as far to say that. So we see that there are so many fake incarnations nowadays. I saw also one time very interesting documentary about this. There was an actor, quite famous actor in India, but he described himself as a renouncement, as a yogi. So he was wearing saffron robes, and he put a wig like Sai Baba style, and he was wearing a fake beard, and he was going from village to village, and he was doing all kind of magic acts. Like he had, there was one woman who was supposed to be possessed by a ghost. She was part of his group. So she was coming like all possessed by a ghost, hunted by a ghost, and she was doing all kind of crazy things, rolling on the ground and etc. And then he took a coconut, he called her, and he like say some mantras, and he did something to the coconut, and he threw the coconut on the floor. The coconut broke, and inside the coconut there was like blood. Sisi kodanita maya pulsa shiki. And then he did a similar thing. He took a coconut. Previous to that, he put some chemicals, and then he poured some water in the coconut, and smoke started coming out from the coconut. I mean, what he did with the coconut, they show after how he did it. He just injected some red liquid into the coconut, because, you know, they have these three, like call it eyes of the coconut. So he injected some red. And then with the other one, he put some chemicals and that will react to water. So when they react to water, creates some smoke. And believe it or not, people start to accept him as an incarnation in that village, and everyone was paying obeisances, and he did a lot of these magic acts. I don't remember other things, and he was going from village to village. But in the end of his act, he said, "Look, I'm just an actor. I'm just an actor. All this was just magic, cheap magic, and you accept me as God." And just to create awareness, because this is something that is very common in India, that anyone is accepted as an incarnation or as God because he's doing some magic acts. And he was going to village to village just to create awareness that actually there is no incarnation. But for devotees, it's very easy to understand. We know that in Kali Yuga, there are no incarnations except Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, there are three incarnations in Kali Yuga which are very important for devotees. One is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is the other one? Lord Jagannath. Anyone else? What is the other incarnations in Kali Yuga? Sorry? Yeah, but he didn't come yet. But, sorry? Yeah, that's a different story. Holy name. You say holy name? Yeah, yeah. So other incarnation in Kali Yuga, which are relevant for devotees, is the holy name. The Lord come in the sound form is the holy name, is the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna, and other mantras as well. And the other one is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the book incarnation of the Lord. So for devotees, these are real important incarnations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the holy name. And only that is necessary. But what is interesting that they said that it's written here in the purport, that sometimes the Lord gives some hints that he could be an incarnation. And we see in the pastimes of Krishna, he will always giving hints. When he ate mud, and then Yasoda was looking in his mouth. For a moment, she thought, this is not an ordinary child. I can see the whole universe. I can see everything in his mouth. This is not an ordinary child. And for a moment, she thought, maybe, just maybe, he is God. And we see that when Krishna was killing demons, that's not possible to perform by anyone else, because they were really powerful demons. They said that actually Krishna has his like a sadhana of killing 2 demons per day. He will kill one demon in the afternoon around 12:30, and Prabhupada is playing in a purport in the Krishna book that actually Krishna was very careful at the time because he didn't want to interrupt his lunch. So he will do it before he had lunch at 1 o'clock. So before that, around 12:30, he will kill a demon. And then he will have his lunch, he will enjoy with the cowherd boys, and then he will kill another demon around 4-5 p.m. And that was like a part of his sadhana, where all the devotees were rejoicing of this killing of the demons. And Krishna was giving all these hints. When Krishna was lifting Govardhan Hill, many of them, they thought, oh, this is not an ordinary child. No child can do that. Maybe he is God. But they will soon be covered by Yoga Maya, so they could enjoy this rasa of friendship, of paternity, without interruption and without thinking that, why shall I do all these things? Why shall I feed my kid when he is God? Why shall I play with him like a friend? He is God. That will disrupt the mood. So Krishna will cover everyone in Vrindavan with this Yoga Maya, so they could enjoy the pastime without any interruption. So this is how we can recognize a real incarnation, when he can perform this prowess, these unseen activities, which cannot be performed by any embodied beings. Also, the last purpose of this, on the purpose of the last verse, it talks about Shankaracharya. And that is Shankaracharya, even though he was the biggest monist, he also accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shankaracharya, he wrote a few commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. Narayano Parovyakta, he said in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is beyond this material energy. And also he wrote Viveka Chudamani and Sharira Kavasya. These are the 2 most famous. I remember I read those scriptures of Shankaracharya before I was a Mayavadi, more than now even. So I read, and I was shocked at that time, because in the very first verse of Viveka Chudamani, which is the crest jewel of the knowledge, Viveka, of the he said that I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the primeval Lord, the cause of the universe. And I was thinking, wow, he's supposed to be a Maya body. He's supposed to accept Brahman is the Supreme, but he's saying that Krishna is the Supreme. And we see in the life of Shankaracharya, even when he was, Prabhupada quote this many times, when Shankaracharya was leaving the body, he said, Vacha Govinda, Vacha Govinda, Vacha Govinda, Muda Mate. Please worship Govinda, you intellectual fools. Because he's Shiva, first we understand that the people are bewildered because lack of knowledge, but this cannot be applied to great personalities like Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, he appeared as Shankaracharya. He was not an ordinary person. Even Shankaracharya took sannyas when he was very young. I don't remember, 5, 7, 8 years. He went, this is a very interesting pastime, when he went to his mother and he said, Mom, I want to take sannyas. You know, what do you say to a kid, 5-year-old kid, you want to take sannyas? He said, no, forget it. I'm not going to give you permission to take sannyas. And he said, okay. So he went to take baths in the Ganga, and one crocodile came and captured his leg. And his mother saw that he was about to be killed by a crocodile. So Shankaracharya shouted at his mom, and she said, Mom, can I take sannyas? And she said, okay, he's dying, he will die, crocodile will kill him, so let's granted him his last wish. And she said, yeah, okay, you can take sannyas. And then at that moment, the crocodile opened his mouth and Shankaracharya left and took sannyas. But we see that followers, even though he was very personal in his relationship with Krishna, he understood and he preached that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. We see that his followers are also bewildered. And there is another time when this was one of my things when I came to Krishna consciousness, and I questioned the devotees about this, and they didn't have an answer. And I found the answer many years after. Because there is a pastime when Shankaracharya went to visit the Vishnu temple, and because he says the Shaiva Tilak, they didn't allow him in the temple. Especially in South India, they are very strict. Sometimes they don't allow, if you go dress like a yogi, like a Shaiva, they don't allow you in the Vishnu temple. So that was the case. And then he started to have an argument with the priest. And he said, but Shiva is not different from Lord Vishnu. They are the same. It's just two aspects of the same reality. This is the same. And they were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And they will not get into any conclusion. They were discussing like this. And then all of a sudden they look at the deity and they saw that the deity of Vishnu had been transformed into half Vishnu and half Shiva. And this is known as Harihara. And you can see when you go to Mayapur, there is a deity there close to Mayapur of Harihara. So when I start to come into Krishna consciousness, I remember temple president was giving class, and I challenged him. I said, okay, you say that Krishna is the supreme, but why is this pastime? This pastime clearly shows that Shiva and Vishnu are the same. And he had no answer for this. What will be your answer if somebody asks you about Harihara? Adoksha Prabhu. Also, it is said that because Lord Shiva is so dear to Vishnu, that the Lord allowed him to take resident in himself, his Harihara. This I found out when I was reading some scriptures about Shalagram Shilas, because some of the Shalagram Shilas you see that they have a Shiva Lingam and they have like a chakra, which is considered like Harihara. And they said, in some of the conversations mentions in the Puranas, the Lord Shiva explained to Parvati that, yeah, that's because I'm so dear to Lord Krishna, he allowed me to be part of his form. And like Dr. Prabhu was saying that uh, Krishna is like milk and Lord Shiva is like yogurt, even though they are the same, but yogurt cannot become milk, but milk can become a yogurt. So yeah, this is the way for devotees to understand. Actually, for us, there is no problem. We know there are no incarnations around. We see that many people get bewildered due to lack of knowledge, and they accept this cheap incarnation. But for devotees, we know there is no incarnations in Kali Yuga except from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we will see also Kalki in the end. Yeah, you want to say something? Yeah, yeah. So we just need to follow these three incarnations, the teachings and precepts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, read the Srimad Bhagavatam and chant the holy name, and these are the best incarnation, and this will give all perfection, and we will not need to be confused by any propaganda of these so-called incarnations. Are there any comments or questions? Lucy. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's fine. What I'm saying that this is the followers of Shankaracharya, they often say that this is a proof that Lord Shiva is not different from Vishnu. Lord Shiva is not different from Vishnu. But it's a bona fide deity, and yeah, we should definitely go and take darshan. It's a very, very special deity. I don't know if that is the original one of that pastime with Shankaracharya. This I don't know, but yeah, it's a very impressive deity, very beautiful, as you say. No, but it's fine. Yeah, you can take place. Anything else? Yeah. 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 Yeah, I remember when I had this incident with this uh, when I was staying in Kathmandu in the house of this friend, and he had this big picture of Kripalu, this guy who pretended to be an incarnation of Chaitanya. And I told him, I said, this is bogus. I told him directly because he's my friend. I could tell him, you cannot go around preaching like this, you know. But I told he's my friend, so I told him, Prabhu, you know, this is bogus. He said, I know, but my mother is a big follower of him, and I cannot do anything about it. She's like a really fanatic. She offers arti and put garlands and all these things every day, and you know, I cannot. She had been worshiping him for all her life, but actually, this was beginning of one of ISKCON, how do you call it, statements that we should, what is the word? What is the word? Not refuse, but we will use that. Like refuse all these incarnations. Because people just do it because they are ignorant. Then if we give them the arguments, they can take the right path again. But some people, they don't know. Like in this class of Gopal Krishna Goswami, Tamal Krishna Goswami is very funny, because in the end, the guy was totally smashed. He didn't have any more arguments to say that Sai Baba was God. But another fellow who was there with him, he said, hey, this guy who is asking, he's the secretary of the Sai Baba temple. He's the main person in the Sai Baba temple. So if he is true that he really understands that Krishna is God, then he should give up his position. He should resign. Will you do that? And they corner him like that, you know, it's very funny. And Tamal Krishna Goswami asked him, how long have you been worshipping Sai Baba? He said, 8 years. He said, okay, I will not say 8 years, but I will give you a time of 8 months. In 10 months, you should worship Krishna only. And if you see that your life is changing for better, that you become a better person, a better devotee, but if not, I will give you $10,000. I will give you $10,000. I will personally give you $10,000 if you, after 8 months of practicing Krishna consciousness seriously, you didn't change, you didn't become a better person, a better devotee, I will give you $10,000. Because he was saying that, okay, what I will do now, I will worship Krishna, but I will still listening to the teachings of Sai Baba. And Tamal Krishna Swami said, no. Krishna said that you should give up every religion and just surrender unto him. Not like half here, half there. That will not take you anywhere. You need to give up everything and just worship Krishna. That's it. So hopefully he did. I don't know. But it's very interesting, very funny as well. Okay, we'll finish here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.